Hey guys, time for the third mini lecture on the autonomic nervous system. Check out this spinal cord right here. What we need to do is figure out how sympathetic messages are going to get from that spinal cord out to the effector organs. So we're going to start in the lateral horn, and from the lateral horn, we're going to go out the ventral rootlets, ventral root into the spinal nerve. Now it's going to get interesting once we get into the spinal nerve because we're going to take the ventral ramus here. This is the ventral ramus. And if you see this white thing and this gray thing here, these guys are going to be important. We're going to meet them next. Okay, this is the first way we get sympathetic signals to go somewhere. This is, how we're going to, how we're going to get sympathetic signals to effectors in our skin, in our neck, torso, and limbs. So skin of the neck, torso, and limbs. Skin of the NTL. In our skin, we need to get to sweat glands for sweat production and erector pili muscles for hairs to stand on end. Plus, in our skin, we need to get to the blood vessels in there as well. All right, how do we get there? We go out of our lateral horn, into the ventral root, take the ventral root to the spinal nerve to ventral ramus, okay? And then we go, and go into this white ramus communicans. This is called a white ramus communicans. The word white is important there because realize this is our first neuron. This is our preganglionic neuron. Our preganglionic neuron is myelinated. That's why we have the word white right here. And we take that white ramus communicans into this neighboring ganglion. There's actually going to be a whole chain of ganglia going vertically just adjacent to the spinal cord on each side, of course. And this chain of ganglia is called the sympathetic trunk. And this ganglion is a sympathetic trunk ganglion. So that is where our preganglionic neuron meets our postganglionic neuron. The pre releases acetylcholine, induces a signal to be sent in the post. Then the postganglionic neuron goes back to the ventral ramus. It goes back to the ventral ramus by means of this guy right here called a gray ramus communicans. Gray because this is our postganglionic neuron and it is unmyelinated. Okay, so we get back into the ventral ramus. Check out the crisscross here, by the way. Back into the ventral ramus, and then we take that ventral ramus to wherever we happen to be going, like whatever part of the body, neck, torso, or limb, to the skin there. Erector pili, sweat glands, and dermal blood vessels. All right, that is pathway number one. Pathway number two is a heck of a lot like pathway number one, just with one extra little thing. Now, think about this for a second. I already told you sympathetic neurons are going to be from your thoracic and lumbar spinal cord. But if we're getting to the skin of the neck, well, neck is above thoracic. But it says neck here. It says torso, neck, and limbs. So how do we get to the neck? Well, this is one pathway it's going to show us. So check it out. Again, we're starting in the lateral horn. We go into a ventral root, into a spinal nerve, into a ventral ramus. We go past our gray ramus communicans, into the white. We go into this ganglion on the same level here, but we don't stop. In this case, we're going up. We could go down as well, but in this case, we're going up. And we're having our synapse in a higher ganglion. Think about this will let us get to higher and lower structures. In this ganglion, we synapse, and then we have our postganglionic neuron coming out the gray. You got to do white before gray. Out the gray to the ventral ramus, onward to the effectors in the skin. Erector pili, sweat glands, and dermal blood vessels. All right, it's pathway number two. There's another pathway. Pathway number three. And I got a slightly different picture here. Sorry about that. Same idea though, okay? This pathway is going to get us to the thoracic cavity. So thoracic cavity, we got the esophagus, we got the heart, we got the lungs, thoracic blood vessels. Plus, we got to get to the skin of the head, and we got to get to structures inside the neck and certain structures in the eyeballs as well. So, how are we going to do that? All right, again, as always, we're going to start in the lateral horn, take the ventral root, spinal nerve, ventral ramus, white ramus communicans into a neighboring ganglion. But in the other previous ones, we left the ganglion by way of the gray ramus communicans. Here we're not. We're leaving the ganglion by another sympathetic nerve, okay? So there's a nerve coming out of the ganglion. So it's going to go to all these places. I'm pointing at them on my screen as if you can see me pointing. All these places. Thoracic organs, neck organs, head skin, and eyeballs. So this is the third route we've got. We had 1, 2, 3. Yeah, third. All right. We're not done. Because think about it. We haven't even done the abdomen yet. We got to do the abdomen. So it was like we did the skin of the head, neck, sorry, the skin of the neck, torso, and limbs 2 ways. And now we're doing head skin plus thoracic and neck guts. Okay. Now we're going to get to the abdomen. This is where we get to the abdomen and the pelvis. Because we got to get sympathetic signals to our stomach, to our spleen, to our kidneys, etc. So it's going to start out the same way as before. Lateral horn, ventral root, spinal nerve, ventral ramus, white ramus communicans. But this time, we don't stop in the ganglion. We go through that ganglion, through a different nerve called a Splanchnic nerve. That's a pretty sounding word, Splanchnic. And we take that Splanchnic nerve, there we go, to our ganglion. So our ganglion is now along this nerve. And then we have our synapse, we get our second neuron, and we go towards our target organ. So this gets us to the abdomen and the pelvis. So we had a way, so the first 2 ways were skin of the NTL, neck, torso, limbs. Then we had neck and thoracic innards plus head skin. And now we got abdominal and pelvic organs. We're almost done. One more. But the last one's, it's the weirdest but also the easiest. Okay? Sort of. There, again, we're starting in the lateral horn, ventral root, spinal nerve, ventral ramus, white ramus communicans. We go through the ganglion, taking a different Splanchnic nerve, and this time we're going to an organ sitting on top of the kidney called the adrenal gland. There it is, right there, the adrenal gland. The adrenal gland has this interior part called the adrenal medulla. And our preganglionic neuron goes all the way into that adrenal medulla. And the cells in here are actually modified postganglionic neurons. And they are going to release 2 hormones into the bloodstream, epinephrine and norepinephrine. Epinephrine is our fight or flight hormone. So like 85% epinephrine being released into these blood vessels here. And then epinephrine, which is our fight or flight hormone, is going to go everywhere in the body because it is now in the blood. Awesome. Fantastic. Those are our 5 possible ways that sympathetic neurons and sympathetic signals can get to where they're going. All right, next time we'll pick up right here and we will talk about neurotransmitters. See you later.